burnout? How does one cope with it, and how does one prevent it to begin with? So many questions, and I know I'm not alone when it comes to dealing with it, so I decided that I'm going to take you along on a little trip where I'm escaping burnout by changing environments. So we're taking this Nissan Rogue on a little road trip to change environments and be mindful, be present. So a little bit about this trip. We're going to Estes Park, which is an hour and a half away from where we are, which is not bad at all. It's a pretty chilled trip, and we're just going to relax. We don't have any plans. We might go snowshoeing. Don't know yet. That's TBD because we don't have the proper clothing. But we know that we have a hot tub in the room on the terrace, and that was a big highlight. So we're just gonna take this baby on a little snow-filled trip. It's gonna be very cold, but I mean, nothing that this giant can't handle. We already know that it does really well in snowstorms. So yeah, in the meantime, I will also be talking about my experience with burnout and the coping mechanisms that I've come up with that help me, because I really hope that they help you. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts about burnout, please let me know in the comments, because I'm all ears. I feel like it's a topic that's kind of being discovered as we go along with this joyful ride of burnout. So yeah, let's do this. I'm gonna go get my bags and my husband, who's the designated driver, once again. I was planning to stop in Boulder next to Chautauqua Park, just to, I don't know, take a little spontaneous walk, breather, and take some pictures, but it's too cloudy right now. We'll do it on the way back, but it is very nice to be back here because it brings nostalgia back. When I first, like I said, moved to the US, I used to work here, and this was a building where I used to do a lot of things. That building, that is a residence hall, but it's attached to this space where I did a lot of my work, and yeah, it's kind of nice. I moved to the US right when I left Google and I started this job here. I was a global entrepreneur in residence at CU Boulder. So yeah, that's the campus over there, and I used to be there all the time. It's pretty nice to be back. So we got our room, and it's very nice. This is that's the hot tub over there. I always like doing this. They do this in the movies a lot. But yeah, it's very nice. We have our own kitchenette, so we actually brought some stuff for breakfast. Cozy. It's like a little labyrinth. Wow, a lot of rooms. A lot of rooms. There it is. Hello. Let's talk about burnout. It is very cold out there, and in our room there isn't good enough lighting. I mean, I am, at the end of the day, the very core YouTuber, so I cannot film this anywhere else. So I decided I'll come here. So burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion that has been caused by prolonged and intense stress. It's that feeling when you're so tired, you feel drained. You feel like you don't care anymore, and you feel super insignificant. You lose your sense of self-worth, and it just, nothing gives you satisfaction. Nothing about your work or your leisure. You just don't care anymore. Some of the common causes of burnout is too much stress for too long and a poor work-life balance where you just, all you do is work, like you you overwhelm yourself with work and you don't give yourself the proper time to rest and to recover. That feeling that you don't have control over the situation. And finally, if you don't have a good social support system that can understand you and you feel isolated, and that kind of like enhances and like makes the feeling even worse. I personally think it's also a cocktail of perfectionism, unrealistic expectations, and poor time management, all together in a workaholic. So it's just like this potion, this cocktail of spiraling down and like driving yourself down and telling yourself a story that you're not good enough, and just driving yourself to work more and longer and become even more stressed, etc. And it spirals down. When I was doing research for this video, I found a very interesting comparison of stress and burnout, because they're not the same thing, right? Burnout is caused by stress, but the state of being stressed is not the same as the state of burnout. And the difference is that stress is when you have a lot of going on, too much going on, but you feel hopeful that once you get through it, things will get better, right? You're doing a lot of things, you're energetic, you're in this. Burnout is when, I guess, you've had so much stress that you have drained yourself and you feel empty. You feel drained and mentally exhausted. You are beyond caring at this point. Oh, good morning. It is so cold. I mean, I don't know, you can't tell, but it's 2 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'm not sure what it is in Celsius, even though I think in Celsius, but I just know that 2 degrees Fahrenheit is way too cold. So we're probably gonna drive to get coffee, which I know is kind of sad because it's a 6-minute walk, but it's too cold. Too cold. We were supposed to let them rise for 8 hours at room temperature, but we did not read the instruction properly, so we didn't do that. But they don't look too bad for that mistake. It is too cold to do anything productive, so we decided to go for a little just drive through. We found some scenic drives around here, and that's what we're going to do. I mean, it's snowing a lot, but at least we're gonna be warm. Look how much snow. This happened since we got coffee. Let's get back into the spaceship. I was hoping to fly my drone on this trip, but unfortunately it's not happening because it's way too cold. I think it's minus 12 degrees Celsius outside right now, and my drone takes way too long to actually connect, so I would be frozen. However, we're seeing some really beautiful things. I wish the visibility was better, but still the snow kind of has its charm. It's kind of nice. We don't get as much snow in Denver, so this is definitely a change of scenery. Not a great state to be in, right? So how do we cope with burnout? A lot of resources that I've looked through recommend taking care of yourself first, taking care of your mind and body, right? Having a healthy, balanced diet, exercising, meditation, mindfulness, all of those things, which I think are absolutely amazing in any state that you're in, right? But especially they're important at this time. So if you're feeling burnt out, make sure that you take care of yourself, of your mind and body, because at the end of the day, your work is you're probably not a heart surgeon. And if you're a heart surgeon and you're watching this, I'm sure there's someone who could replace you if you're feeling like that, right? one of the approaches that I found very interesting in my research is the 3R approach, which is recognize, reverse, and resilience. So recognize is being self-aware and being able to recognize those symptoms, understanding that you are burnt out or you're on the verge of being burnt out is very important. Then reverse the stress. And how do you do that? Through practicing all of those mindfulness things and creating boundaries, essentially, right? And then finally, building resilience for the future. And a lot of it is also to do with mental work and becoming stronger mentally and understanding how you can build systems around yourself that prevent this from happening in the future. Woo! It is one. Ooh. Let's get in. I've been burnt out so many times in my life, and I am very lucky to have found a coping mechanism that works for me, right? And of course, awareness is step number one. Awareness sometimes is the hardest in this whole situation because you are in a vicious cycle. You are telling yourself a story in your brain, and the perfectionist in your brain and the workaholic in your head is telling you that you need to do more, and your unrealistic expectations and bad time management, this is just me describing myself, right, is not helping because you think, if you look at my to-do list when I'm on the verge of burnout, it is absolutely unrealistic. I'm putting so many different tasks that will take way longer than I think, and so I never end up finishing up my to-do list, which creates additional stress and additional stress and additional stress, and then I feel empty. Anyway, so awareness is step number one. Recognizing that you're burnt out or you're driving yourself into that state. You know, like we all know what kind of feeling came before you got burnt out. It was just the stress and overwhelm, or at least that is for me, right? Understanding what it is for you is super important. So being aware, practicing self-awareness is incredibly important. And the second thing that I do when I recognize that I'm in that state is I try to physically remove myself out of that vicious circle, to break the vicious circle. And I do that by changing my environment or changing what I'm doing. So for example, if I'm super stressed and I know this day is just winding me up, I go for a walk, or I go exercise, or I go paint, do something different. I started this whole plant thing probably as a coping mechanism, with what's going on in the world, because they bring me excitement and joy and something to look forward to every single day, but also it's a coping mechanism to escape the crazy things in my head and to come back to the present moment. But finally, when things get out of control and I know that I physically need to remove myself from the situation, I take a trip or do something like this. And this is why we took this trip to begin with, because I was feeling like I was getting to that state where I need to stop the routine, I need to stop the vicious cycle and physically remove myself from the situation. Of course, it is easier said than done, and I'm very fortunate to be able to work for myself and to have a flexible schedule. And you would think I would not stress myself out, as I do, but I do. But it all comes down to creating boundaries and prioritizing what's truly important, right? And finishing those things. So when you feel that you're about to be burnt out, make a spreadsheet or make a chart, draw it, right? With what is important and urgent. What do you have to do right now, or things will come crashing down. I don't think that there will be an overwhelming amount of things that you need to do that are urgent and extremely important. Like the world will crush if you don't do them. So identify those ones, do them, and then take a break. Take a conscious break and tell your coworkers, tell your clients, create expectations that you are taking a break. People will not respect your boundaries unless you communicate them, right? Unless you create them for yourself. I'm in the car, I'm filming. Bye. My husband has lost me. And of course, support system is incredibly important. So finding that social circle that understands you, that you can share your feelings and your experience with, is super important. Whether you find that at work, or you find that with your family or friends, or maybe you find an online community that understands you. And finally, once you're out of that state, address the root problem. What was the root problem? For me, for example, the root problem is me and my inability of creating boundaries for myself, right? What was the root problem of your burnout, of the stress that got you there, right? Was it your perfectionism, or was it your boss who gave you too much work, right? Like, how can you address what is happening? How can you adjust the situation so that in the future you create better mechanisms not to get yourself into that state? Good morning, this is day 3. We had a very chilled morning, went to get some coffee, made our own porridge, watched some videos about plants and foresting and all that stuff, and then hot tubs. We went into the hot tub 5 times during this trip. It was such a wonderful facility. That's why we booked this hotel, to be honest. But yeah, it was very nice, very chilled, and now we're gonna drive back home. Those rocks, the flat irons, have a special place in my heart because when I moved here, I knew I would be working in Boulder, and I was really excited to see them every day, and I did, and I appreciated them every single day. I made a point out of it. So yeah, we stopped in Boulder. It's pretty cloudy, as you can tell, but it's very nice to be back and see this. It's too cold to go hiking, but yeah, just to see that view. We just got home and I feel so much better. I feel refreshed. That was such a welcome change of scenery, and I'm so grateful to have been able to do that. In terms of next steps for burnout, I think that it's all about creating systems and practicing habits and creating those habits that will that will minimize the risks of you slipping into that state again, right? And it all starts with self-awareness, because self-awareness is key to creating habits that actually work for you as opposed to somebody else. Because it may work for me, but it might not work to the same extent for you. So self-awareness, figuring out what works, testing different things, piloting different things, and then creating an environment where habits and that kind of automation takes over. And of course, making sure that your support system supports you, supports your growth, supports your mental health. And I know that a lot of people will be working in toxic environments where their bosses might not be as receptive to that. However, I believe that there is a way to solve everything. And it may be just figuring out a communication style. And of course, I'm not an expert when it comes to certain topics, so make sure that you do your research, maybe talk to a specialist, an expert on the topic, and you can solve anything. I truly believe in that, but self-awareness is key. Self-awareness is number 1 at all times, at least for me. So yeah, this was our little getaway to Estes Park with Nissan, and it was so nice. It was just such a welcomed change of scenery, and I'm feeling so much more refreshed. Even though we didn't really do anything, as opposed to in the other vlog I posted from Moab, which I will leave a link to in this corner and in the description. It was a very active one. This one was very chilled. There was a lot of just sitting inside and watching the snowfall, but that's what I needed, honestly, so that was perfect. Again, thank you Nissan for sponsoring this video. I love your products and I am incredibly excited to be able to partner with you. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this video, what you think about Burnout, what is your experience like, and of course, what do you think about this format? I have never done it. I've seen other people do the vlog / talking format, and I wanted to try it. So let me know what you think about it. Like this video if you've enjoyed it, and share it with your friends who might be suffering from burnout, or just preemptively before they suffer from burnout, because when it's too late, it's too late. We can also be friends on other social media. You can find me as Coding Blonde. Have a wonderful time today you're currently experiencing.